a secondhand coat. I want a yacht, not a cheap little boat. I tell my daddy not to be depressed. All I need for happiness is the best. I want a diamond, nothing else has appeal. And when it comes to men, you know how I feel. I want a real man. Give me a real man, you know what I mean. I want a real man. Oh, real man, you're what I need.
Hey guys, what's going on? How you doing? Look at Teddy, ball game, ready to go. That's right. Hey, what's up? Welcome to Real Men. I'm your host, Tim Steeves. This is the men's magazine show where men get real. We have an awesome panel assembled, so let's meet our participants, shall we? The effervescent Dwayne Hill has joined us today. How are you, big man?
I'm effervescent.
Good to see you, buddy.
It's a birth defect.
Also here today, Anne-Marie Scheffler is with us.
Hi, Tim.
Nice to see you, Chef.
You too.
Kedar dropped in. How are you, Kedar?
Everybody, I'm well.
Good to see you, man. And Ted Dykstra is with us, too.
Hi,
See you, Teddy.
Hi, Mom.
Okay, and that's how we're going to get this episode of Real Men kicked off, with a commentary from that very same Ted Dykstra. Go ahead, man.
Oh, coulda, woulda, shoulda. Regrets and broken dreams. Now, I guess I have a problem with this because I don't really have any regrets or broken dreams. And what that means is a lot of people hate me because I guess I'm a really lucky guy. And I also think I used to think I was not a lucky guy, that I was really smart and I made all the right choices. But no, I'm just a lucky guy. And people hate that, you know. A lot of people in my generation caught these wicked strains of STDs and or died of AIDS. And I had unprotected sex with all kinds of people in the 80s. And I never fathered or caught a blessed thing. Oops, sorry. The only thing I regret from that era is our hairstyles and maybe the Tears for Fears album. I walk down the street and I have a beautiful, gorgeous wife who's funny and smart and talented. And I open the door of our Ford Taurus wagon and let her in, and I can hear the silent psychic screams of every male on the planet going, "What the hell is she doing with him?" Oops, sorry. The only broken dream I ever had was I was going to be a classical pianist, but I quit at a sort of crucial moment, rather than find out whether I had the jam to make it or not. And so years later, I wrote a play about it, and it became an international hit, and now I'm financially independent. Oops, sorry. You know, I think that I can't regret anything because everything I've done has led me to where I am. And who wouldn't want to be a semi-regular co-host on a digital magazine show? Tim?
Yeah, who wouldn't?
Exactly.
You're making me question everything, Ted. Jump in there, buddy. So you don't have any regrets. Anne-Marie, Ted's good to go. What about you? Any regrets?
Well, my only regret is that I didn't meet Ted before his wife did.
See, I can't help it. What is it?
I don't know. You're financially independent. You just said
It's
so.
the frame.
And that's really true, too.
The frames, Dwayne?
It's the
glasses,
frame.
man.
Is it
Gotta be
really?
The frames, yeah, because they're unisex. And so every girl says, I could wear those, and they'd look better on me.
We can share.
And his
You know.
clothes,
And
too.
his clothes.
Yeah.
Hey, you're a size 4, too? You are the luckiest man in
That's
the
a
world.
great
'cause
dress,
I'm
Ted.
a size 6.
Any regrets, Kedar?
Yes and no. I regret not, I regret not being a better son to my mother.
Oh, my God, that's
Yes,
beautiful.
That's good.
I
That's a good one.
You know what it was? It was like your mom would tell you to go out and get some sugar, and it was for the whole household, and you would say no because you want to stay home and play Pong. And I regret that. So, Mom, I'm sorry.
Wow, a heartfelt moment on Real Men today.
That's nice.
Don't get used to it.
I also wish to apologize to Kedar's mother. One time she said, I've sent my son to get some sugar. Let's have sex. And I said, no, Kedar's mom. He'll be back. He's got legs of lightning. And he caught us, although I slapped him
But
with a fake
seriously,
mustache.
folks, what about it, Dwayne? Any regrets, buddy?
Oh, sure, skillions. One problem with being self-aware, I think, is that you realize, I mean, no offense, but I think you realize, you know, things you could have done along the way, you know? I think you realize, things you could have done differently. But let's face it, you know, we live in North America at the best time in the history of existence. You know, 100 years ago, just, you know, flush toilet. Wow, what are you, the Rothschilds? And now, you know, we've got toilets that, you know, you can actually wash your hands in.
So
But don't recommend it.
I'm not self-aware. Is that what you're
Well, I'm saying, if you go through your
Dwayne?
life, if you think like, I don't know, if you think that you have no regrets in your life,
Right.
then maybe you're not entirely
Are
self-aware.
you questioning
Why?
that, Dwayne?
Why would that be? Why can't I just be happy with all the choices
Well, you
I've
can be
made?
happy. I think that somebody, let's say, for example, that works in a factory 8 hours a day, comes home and he goes, you know what? I'm going to have a beer. That makes me happy. I'm going to watch television. That makes me happy.
Right.
I'm saying that I think that the more aware you are of what's around you, the more self-aware you become. Do you know what I mean? Like monkeys will punch a mirror, but humans will brush their hair. So you're saying they will, like,
Monkeys
because they're not aware.
I don't know. Let's just
Yeah.
spend
So I
some
mean, if
time
you're saying
together.
you have no regrets at all in your life, that's not entirely
But that's slapping your own life in the face is all I'm saying. I'm not saying that bad things don't happen or you don't make wrong choices, but you got to embrace those wrong choices and they become part of who you are.
Well, I guess what we're talking
to keep on regretting them is a foolish
We're talking about the
idea. That's all
definition
I
of
mean.
regret. What is
You
your
know what I mean?
definition of regret? Ted's saying his definition of regret is, well, you know, I don't have any huge, but you're saying more day to day.
Yeah, I think that, you know, I think that I mean, you could say, you know, you were like, my grandparents are gone. You regret kind of, you wish you could have been nicer to them in their last days, you know, like you wish you could have been there more.
Sure.
There's a lot of things because you realize that we are in a very privileged part of the world.
Yeah.
We're in the most privileged city in the most privileged part of the world, the most privileged time in the history of existence. We can all do more.
I agree with you. But
And
that's
we
all
don't.
still
We
part
make
of
ourselves better, you
That's
know?
all still part of who you are, though. And I mean, you've often said on this show that you're a really happy guy and you have a great life, right?
Well, I definitely have a great life for me. Because,
But that's
you know,
But that's sort of what I mean. It embraces all those regrets as well at the same time, right?
True. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's what makes us. I think it's what makes us. All I'm saying is, if you're gonna go through life, you better remember where you came from, or else you'll forget who you are. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying about regrets. It's not like I go through life, you know, punching myself while I'm driving, going,
Right.
I hate me.
Right.
But there's things, you know, like we can do so much. We
Nice
really
job,
can.
panel. Yeah. That was solid, and especially for Kedar's mom. Kedar's mom got a lot of fun.
She was
with that segment.
fantastic.
I love her,
That was
man.
nice.
Yeah.
We come back, we're going to be joined by a professor of law. We're going to get real around here. Alan Young is going to join us and talk civil liberties.
what she was wearing.
Going to legalize the hippie lettuce if I have my way when we come back.
Do you have any regrets? We're going to do a segment on regrets and that kind of thing.
I think I would have put more emphasis on education when I was younger, you know, because I had to work a little harder as I got older to get where I am now, you know what I mean? So, yeah, that's what I would do.
Welcome back to Real Men. This segment, we're joined by Alan Young. Thanks for coming in, Alan.
Thank you.
He's a professor of law and has a book coming out called The Hand Job of Justice. And we'll be talking civil liberties this segment. And to get that kicked off, here's Kedar. Go ahead, Kedar.
All right, so I'm walking down Jarvis, you know where Jarvis is, and a prostitute approaches me, and she offers to give me a service. And I said, well, no, thanks. And she said, well, do you know where I can score some weed? Like I would know. You know what? This part of the civil liberties thing, just so they could stop asking brothers where they can score a bag of weed, I say yes. Give them what they stinking want because I'm tired of it. We're tired of it. We don't know Opton or Devon, or we don't know where the crack houses are, white people. We're black, but that don't make us all drug dealers. Just because you white, that don't mean you all know how to put together the best macaroni and cheese dinner. And we don't ask you where to do it or how to do it, do we? No. Let me tell you what weed is really for. Weed is to wear as clothing. It's perfect for clothing. And you know what my grandmother, my dear grandmother, used to do back in the day? She would gather the weed. Not weeds, the weed, the cannabis, the stuff. She would put it in a pot, boil it, and we would drink it, and we were healthy, vibrant young children. We were energetic. We didn't have colds. We didn't break out in canker sores on the spot. You drink weed. You don't smoke it, white people. Stop asking me for where the weed is. I don't know. I live in Pickering, for crying out loud. Tim.
Thanks, Kedar. Not even like a dime bag or anything? Good job, buddy. We're talking civil liberties with Alan Young. Thanks for coming in, Alan.
My pleasure.
Nice to have you, man.
Got a whole new argument now for legalization.
Exactly. drinking the weed as a child. I had no idea. I missed out.
Oh, beautiful stuff, man. You will not get sick. You drink weed.
It has calmed you right down.
So, Alan, how close to decriminalizing the pot are we, man?
Well, it depends. If we can build a canal between the U.S. and Canada, it should happen right away. But right now, with American influence, despite a lot of the rhetoric coming out of Ottawa, I think we're still at least a decade away.
Wow, that's bad news.
Well, that means approximately another 300,000 people will be charged with cannabis offenses. So law-abiding, productive citizens will have criminal records just because they like to get high, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
When did we pass our pot laws? We passed them at the same time as the States?
No, we were earlier than the States. It actually started in South Africa. We were 1923. One day a minister just showed up and said, oh, we're adding cannabis sativa to the prohibited list, and everyone looked around and said, what the hell is that? No one knew. There wasn't even a conviction until 1937, and no one really cared until middle-class people started smoking in the 60s, a lot of them. And suddenly the state got worried about the counterculture, and they came down very heavy. So it's a short history, actually.
I'm under the impression that the criminalization of marijuana was about the tree industry, you know, trying to keep hemp from being the main source of, you know.
Yeah, William Hearst was behind that. They wanted to knock out the hemp. But the real reason behind the drug laws of this century was white North America being afraid of ethnic influence. Pot was associated with the Mexicans, cocaine was associated with the Southern blacks, and heroin and opiates with the Chinese. It was always directed towards certain populations. It was only when the middle-class kids started smoking in the 60s that people said, oh, we got to change our drug policy. No one cared that for 50 years. We were throwing black people, Chinese people, Mexicans into jail just because they like to get high a different way.
So what got you going? Like, what got you woke up one day and went, man, I'm going to fight this? Because it's not a fight where you're going to make a lot of money, obviously, right? Because you're fighting.
There's no wealthy benefactor.
Exactly. It's not like
even at your admission, it's going to take 10 more years. So it's kind of, you know, you're fighting with a pill.
I think it's because I grew up in the drug subculture in the 70s. I tried a lot of different drugs. I thought that marijuana was actually a drug that was conducive to spiritual and personal development. I take a serious perspective on it. I've had a lot of my friends go to jail for this. I can't tolerate that anymore. I really think we put billions of dollars into manufacturing criminals when we have plenty of criminals, predatory criminals on the street we can go after. So let people get high and have a good time and go after the Clifford Olsons and the Paul Bernardos of the world.
Forget the fact that no one's ever, speak to the health thing a little bit, Alan.
Sure.
So tobacco deaths every year.
Yeah. No one's ever died from pot. You know, they've tried, you can kill a rat with anything. You can kill a rat with sugar, you can kill a rat with caffeine. You can't kill salt, you can't kill them with pot. There's no lethal dose.
Yeah, but I mean, the tar from smoking it surely is that.
It's very bad for the lungs. Smoking is a dirty delivery system. Better to drink. The tea is a good idea. But actually, all they're finding is chronic bronchial impairment. They're not finding emphysema or lung cancer. What it is people who smoke a lot of pot become wheezers and coughers. That's it. You don't use the criminal law to protect us from becoming a nation of wheezers and coughers.
Right.
Is it addictive?
Hi, I'm from
Is it addictive? I don't think so, though I hope we can break shortly so I can smoke. No, it's not addictive. But there's psychological...
Come back.
What's the distinction between decriminalizing it and legalizing? I mean, what's the distinction there?
Decriminalization simply means you remove criminal sanctions. You may license it and you'll have to pay licensing fees, but you'll never get a criminal record. Legalization means there'll be distribution within the country, whether it be state distribution like alcohol, or whether my friends will get jobs finally.
So when they say in Amsterdam that it's not actually legal,
it's
but
still
they
on
do
the books.
distribute it.
Oh yeah, you go into a cafe, you get a menu, you look at what it is. It's a wonderful system.
Oh, I've been.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I highly recommend it to any of our hippie lettuce smoking friends at home. Get your ass to Amsterdam soon. Okay, go
But
ahead.
however, you can go to Vancouver too.
Okay.
Because it's starting to develop in Vancouver.
But not like Amsterdam.
No, not at all.
Amsterdam's a civilized society. You go in and it's like a Starbucks and there's 50 kinds of bud under glass.
And then you also have to sit with people from Vancouver. So that's the other.
I hate Toronto.
Down.
Write it down in a letter and mail it to you. I'll be making money. I think one of the things, though, that if I can play the con side, one of the things we don't talk about with Amsterdam is the fact that once you step out of these wonderful, glorious, civilized cafes, there's a guy shuddering going, heroin. Do you want to buy some heroin? I'll sell you some heroin. Look at me, shake. This is good stuff.
Actually, that's not a problem. One of the things they did in Amsterdam was separate the hard and soft drug market.
Right.
By making pot available for people, you didn't have to enter the market where people were also selling heroin. So there's actually been a good separation.
You can buy pot in Amsterdam in the really highest end shopping areas.
Yeah.
You know, you can go in and buy a $500 pair of shoes and then go next door and get a coffee and a smoke.
But isn't pot like a stepping stone drug? Would you
So is
say
milk. So have people who have smoked pot
go
probably
from
drank milk,
skim
right?
milk to homogenized milk, but I don't think they go to
Well, the thing is, there's no cause and effect to it. I mean, it's like saying that because someone smokes cigarettes, they then smoke pot, they then do crack. It just doesn't work that way. I can tell you the stats. I hate stats, mind you. 1 out of 9 people who smoke pot try cocaine. That's it.
Yeah,
1 out of 20 try heroin. So it's actually a gate closer, not a gateway. It's a gate closer.
Nice job,
So
Alan.
most people
nice
actually are content with marijuana because it's a real chameleon drug that can be used for a lot of different purposes. Most people are afraid of heroin and cocaine, and that's the way it should be.
Let's
For
get out
God's
of here.
sake,
Let's
let's
get out of
all
here.
get
Nice
high.
segment, panel. Nice job, Alan. Thanks for coming in. Can you hang with us for another segment?
Why not? I got nothing to do.
Appreciate it, man.
You got something to do, all right.
We're coming right back to Real Men, where men get real. Stay put.
That was good. But booze is actually probably as much like, booze is much.
Welcome back to Real Men, where men get real. We're joined by Alan Young today. Thanks for coming in.
My pleasure.
Professor of Law. We're talking employment equity. Alan, what's your take on that, man?
Well, it seems to me everyone agrees in principle that people should be paid the same amount for commensurate work. I don't understand
It sounds
why.
simple when you put it like
yeah,
that.
I don't understand why in 20 years we're still debating this. I would have thought this is really simple to equalize salaries, but somehow there must be some sort of great economic formula that people are missing. I don't know why we're still debating it. I work at a university where we still have these committees that are doing very intrusive types of investigations into employment equity, and I don't understand why that's still happening.
It seems like society did a 180, honestly, in the 80s. Like Reagan came in office, and all of a sudden, like in the 70s, we were kind of in this melancholy but awakening. I guess it was the drugs were getting big, but America was also really depressed. They lost Vietnam, but then Reagan came in and said, by the way, we can all be rich and do blow. And all of a sudden, like the National Organization for Women, boof, equal rights, boof, everything, legalized pot, everything went out the window, and it was like, oh, yeah, we can make money and stab each other in the back. Can I borrow your knife? Mine's in somebody else's back.
What do you think, Kedar?
No, you should get equal pay for the same amount of work, whether you're a woman, whether you're a gerbil. If you can do the job, you should get paid for it. For instance, my wife, she's a school teacher, and she's a fabulous school teacher. And why should she get less pay for doing the same job that a man's doing?
Does she?
And no, not now, but there was a time when they did do that.
I know friends of mine are female lawyers, and they say the issue is taking the time off to have the baby. So, and the law firm gets really pissed at that.
They do.
They say, yes,
won't
we
say
allow
it.
it, and yes, you get your money, you get your 6 months or whatever they give you, but when you come back, they're pissed, and you don't move up the ladder because you did it, and the women who make it to the top levels and have equal pay are the ones who don't have children.
But even like her principal, for instance, is a single lady, but you could kind of sense that within that whole industry business don't like women getting pregnant. You're not gonna get pregnant.
Exactly.
We just gave you
Jump
this
in
job.
here, chef.
Well, actually, I remember working at a dinner theater, and the women were making a lot more money than the guys because we were waitressing, and we were like the tardy, wenches, and the guys were like, man, we're working just as hard. We're singing and dancing just like you guys. They were so pissed at us at the end of the day.
There's maybe two
Because you're tardy
professions.
wenches.
There
We're
might be
tardy
two
wenches.
professions where men or women make more than men. I know in the porno business they make a lot more money, but generally we are talking about women making about 75 cents on the dollar to a man's dollar. So it's a big problem. I don't understand why we can't solve this.
Yeah, it's really sad, actually.
Well, it seems like the only place it would really matter is like an manual labor job. It's like great effort, Anne-Marie, but I have broken a lot more rocks this morning than you. I'm talking to the manager. Can you believe we make $100 an hour? I can't believe you do.
Yeah, they
My
have that.
hands.
I used to
That was
tree
on a
plant,
Flintstones episode.
Exactly, tree plant. Go look at those guys go. Man, it's like they're on wings. But they get paid per tree, right?
No, I used to tree plant, and I used to make a lot of money. And people were like, how does she make a lot of money? Because I was slow and steady, and I didn't stop for smoke breaks.
Oh, good job, Anne-Marie. Nice job, panel. Good segment. When we come back, we have a couple minutes left on Real Men. We were joined by Alan Young, professor of law, and we're going to revisit civil liberties when we come back. Stay with us.
I tried to went to California. Love your neck.
Welcome back to the show. We've been joined today by Professor of Law Alan Young. We're talking civil liberties. Okay, so pot aside, Alan, what else do we need to move ahead with?
Well, we're talking about hedonism, how people pursue pleasure. So the big areas left, of course, is sex for hire and gambling. Don't talk much about gambling because the government's doing it, but sex for hire, we're still busting johns and prostitutes who simply want to be able to achieve some sexual gratification and pay for it like we pay for everything else. We commodify everything. Meanwhile, by pushing it underground. We have a black market full of pimps, and prostitutes aren't protected from Johns. I represent a lot of hookers. Their biggest fear is the fact they have no protection from the law. All the law does is drag them into court, make them pay a fine like a licensing fee, and then they go off and turn tricks. It's a silly situation.
Going back to the, can you rape a prostitute? Yes.
Of course you can.
This
is a valuable service, and men should start protecting prostitutes or providing a service to men instead of turning a blind eye and saying, oh, we don't like prostitutes. This is the oldest profession yet. Is there anyone in the room here who's going to say, oh, yeah, I went to a hooker last night? Everyone's in denial.
Actually, Dwayne would, but probably nobody else.
Dwayne loves the hookers.
Yeah, exactly. I just drink them in like a fine wine. If they're not crying, I'm not buying.
It's your responsibility to start trying to help them by changing the law.
A classic thing was in Manitoba or something, they passed some very strict anti-prostitution law. They said, we'll take your vehicle and we'll sell it if you get caught with it. And the first guy, they had him in the paper and they had a picture of him caught with a prostitute on 7th and H. Welcome to Winnipeg. And they took his truck and they said, well, what do you think about this? Prostitutes, how dare you? He said, look, I'm a rig pig. I work on a rig. I come to town twice a year, and every time I come, I get a prostitute. He's like, that car cost me $200 10 years ago. I'll get another one, and yes, I'll get another prostitute.
He was just trying to stay warm on the corner.
Well, it's funny because in 1995, Alan Rock, who was the Minister of Justice, recommended impounding the vehicles of Johns, right? They debated it in Parliament a little bit. It never passed because the reality is the politicians realized how are they going to get to work if the cars are impounded? So it never went anywhere. Yeah.
And what's wrong with taking a bus and getting a prostitute? Would she come on the bus with you?
No. Would you go on a date? Will you pick up someone for a date on a bus? Or we're going to go for a nice dinner?
Maybe if it's your bus and you're actually driving.
Oh, yeah. If it's your bus.
That way you know what kind of woman you're getting.
Alan, you could put the little title of where you're going for dinner on
That's right.
the front thing.
There are ways to do it. No, you do need a car. What we need is a red light district where people can go in a safe, sanitary environment.
And there was almost one in Toronto.
They came close. There were some municipal councils who had recommended it. They realized, you can't.
Thanks, Alan. Sorry to interrupt you, buddy.
Problem.
We've got to get out of here. And thanks so much for coming in, Alan Young. That was awesome, man. A lot of great insight. Thanks to the panelists. Thanks to you for coming in to Real Men Where Men Get Real.
We're ridiculous. It's like, a couple thousand years ago. What you got? You on foot? No, I don't go with no man, don't got a horse, okay?